postseason friendlies just days after the season ends. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. And that was the case this morning with Barcelona winning 2-0 over Vissel Kobe. So let's do it, just for a little bit of fun here. I know it's a postseason, I know it's a friendly. Here are the 5 headlines. One is just a friendly. Barcelona were pretty sharp in this game, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it's not a preseason friendly where everyone's just kind of rounding into shape. Everyone's coming off a season where, while Barcelona has not pushed as hard as they could have the last few weeks, everybody is still pretty sharp, and at least individuals were playing for something until the last minute in the Liga. Ansu Fati in particular I thought was really sharp in this game, clearly in form right now, having scored those 5 goals in the last few weeks. Ansu Fati has his cutback to Kessie that winds up leading to Eric Garcia, the second goal, and it wasn't just that moment. I thought Ansu was really sharp in this game, and there were certainly elements to not taking anything away from Eric Garcia, but Vissel Kobe is certainly not as sharp as Barcelona, or not necessarily up to the task, and that's what made it feel like a friendly. So not disparaging Eric Garcia for the second goal too much, no disrespect to him, but obviously he's never given that much time and space in the air. He's not given that kind of freedom in the box when it's even the Liga competition, not even speaking of Europe at all. And I'm not going to cry too much about how Barcelona's defense didn't look great today. They did not look as sharp as everybody else, but I think that just goes without saying with the way Barcelona's been recently. It did give Iñaki Peña a little bit of work to do, and he was up to it in this friendly. And Arnau Tenas even got a run out late in the game. He didn't have too much to do by the time he came on the field as the last sub. But as I said, it was a friendly, so you had a lot of different players changing out in the game from first half to second half. Little chemistry and new players being brought in as well. So yeah, it did feel like a friendly, but at least there were moments where Barcelona looked really sharp. Headline 2 is Iniesta farewell. We're going to get to the young kids in headline 3, but first, of course, this game was all about Andres Iniesta, who was hanging his boots up, calling it a day, and it was when he was given the standing ovation, came off the field. You got that feeling that, yeah, it was time for him to go. Clearly, he's a bit past his prime, but I'm glad that he got to have this second life, if you will, in Japan. Of course, he was able to start his winery business and do some things off the field, have a little bit of fun in Japan, before I assume he likely returns to Spain, maybe not necessarily Catalonia. His hometown and everything is closer to Madrid, but he also was in Barcelona most of his adult life, and even actually his teenage years as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see him pop up his head. Maybe not anything more than an ambassador for FC Barcelona, but I do expect him to pop his head around here and there over the next few years. It was kind of weird seeing him as kind of in this 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2, where he played as that other forward, but he did get his chances too, and I think that was the whole point of having him basically play as a forward. He hit the side netting in the 31st minute. Samper also missed one a minute later, speaking of former Barcelona players. And then Iniesta had another one in the 45th minute that could have come in. 80th minute, he comes out of the game. What was a rainy game? You expected testimonials like this have the best weather, but no. It was just a weird bit of a tribute match to Iniesta, but still, I remember all the good times with him. To me, obviously, and for most Culés, with that image of him on the field with an empty Camp Nou, that's the one that I remember. But again, it was nice to see that he still had something in his boots, and just because they leave Barcelona doesn't mean that these players stop being world-class and amazing, amazing players with the ball at their feet. That never leaves them. Headline 3 is Tryout Time. Yes, Arnau Tenas got his appearance, but it was those 5 youngsters from the U18s and the U19s who were not playing with Barça Athletic during their promotion that I want to focus on here. Pau Prim, Dani Rodriguez, Hector Fort, Marc Guiu, and Unai Hernandez, all 5 got a chance to come into this game, or they started this game, like Pau Prim and played a majority of it. Dani Rodriguez also playing in that first half. And while I would normally not read too much into the fact that Barça Athletic, those guys are doing their thing, Lamine Yamal is with them for a reason, he's going to enhance them maybe in ways that these 5 wouldn't have. But I also want to remind you that while others were at the World Cup and Barça Athletic were playing throughout that wintertime period, that it was these youngsters from the U18s and U19s who did not only get a chance to train with Xavi, but some of these names that we're talking about in Dani Rodriguez and Pau Prim, whether it's Barça Athletic, U19s, U18s, these are kind of considered some of the best at their positions in the academy. And I think there is a reason why these 5 in particular got a run out with the first team. While obviously with Busquets leaving, I would love to have been most impressed with a pivot, and maybe my heart wanted to be impressed by the pivot more than anything else, but I honestly do, very unbiasedly, regardless of position, think that Pau Prim had his stock raised the most from this appearance, which is also the reason why I think he got the longest run out in minutes in this game. He had the pre-assist to Pablo Torre that was scored for the first goal by Kessie, and we'll talk about it too with Pablo Torre's performance. While I don't think Vissel Kobe was pressing the way that other teams would, or they weren't even defending in any kind of established low block or even a medium block, so he had a lot more space and time on the ball. But even though Vissel Kobe was not up in his grill the whole time, but I thought in the moments when there were tighter spaces, he made the right choices, He moved the ball quickly. He turned really well and quickly moved it upfield, verticality, horizontally. His decision-making was everything that it was cracked up to be. And those are things that regardless of how quick the opponent is, if you can receive the ball, turn quickly, and release the ball quickly in the right direction, those skills are going to be able to adapt regardless of the level of your competition. And that's what made me really positive about this performance for him. The thing that makes him feel a bit like a cheat code is the fact that, like Ousmane Dembélé, Pau Prim is very two-footed. You could see it. He releases with both his left foot and his right foot, and it felt like, yeah, he favors his right foot for longer passes, but that left foot is important too to shuttling the ball quicker. He actually, on a number of times, when he would feed it out to the left, would allow the ball to roll across his body before delivering the pass with his left foot, getting it there a bit quicker. And the question I think that he answered for me, that no disrespect to Marc Guiu or some of the other pivot academy prospects, but he is number one. He is the pivot that I don't want to put the expectations of the world on him, but give him a year or 2 or 3. And at this point, at least what this game confirmed is that he is on the track to be a future pivot with the first team. Is he a starter someday? Who knows? But he's on the track to make his first team debut in the next 2 or 3 seasons and have earned it and potentially get a spot there. Of this foursome, Prim is the only one that I would say, hey, lock it in, that I think he does preseason with the first team. He was that impressive in this one, and I think he's also been that impressive for the U18s and U19s this year as well. Dani Rodriguez also started the game, the other academy prospect. For coolies who hadn't seen him yet, playing internationally with Spain, he's an underlapping right winger, so underlapping to the point where you almost call him a midfielder. So even though Rafinha likes to underlap quite a bit, Rafinha is a winger. That is what he is. He dribbles 1v1 against a lot of guys, and Dani Rodriguez can do that, but again, he is much more comfortable underlapping, almost like an inside forward, an inverted inside forward on the other side, the way that Gabi is asked to do that job. So if Xavi does in the long run want to play a box midfield, and there are times when, well, maybe you want Ousmane Dembélé on the left side, or Fati if he sticks around, or even Rafinha, we want our winger on the left, we want that inside forward on the right, Dani Rodriguez would certainly be a pick for that. Rodriguez didn't necessarily do anything super impressive in this game, but he also didn't look out of sorts, which is a compliment to just how far ahead he is as well in his trajectory. He is one of the most promising wingers/midfielders in the entire academy, so certainly one to keep an eye on in the future. Same thing with Marc Guiu, who went from kind of an unheralded prospect and between this season scoring a lot of goals, but also having a breakout performance in the U17 Euros for Spain, putting the ball in the back of the net consistently. Clearly he's growing into his body, and he's a traditional number 9 in a way that Barcelona don't usually have. And it was interesting to see when he came in for Lewandowski, kind of being asked, hey, just do what Lewandowski does. And I thought he did a pretty good job trying to do what Lewandowski does. If he continue to do that, I'm not calling him the future Lewandowski, but I'm saying that there is a blueprint, at least in Xavi's Barcelona, for what might be expected of Marc Guiu in the coming years. Just give your best example of Lewandowski. That's what Xavi wants from his center forward. And he does fit that profile at least. And then finally, Unai Hernandez got a few minutes there at the end. He's been a pretty good story in the academy this year. He was signed just in the offseason from CF Damm, which is that local Catalan academy that produces a lot of future talents for both Espanyol and Barcelona, and sometimes even Girona, but usually it's just those big two, if you will, in Barcelona. But Unai Hernandez, didn't really find the game too much, but he's an attacking midfielder, has some magic in those boots. I'm glad Barcelona brought him in instead of having him go somewhere else. And if he continues to progress in this way, who knows where he is in the future. Headline 4 is Pablo Torre's class, because unfortunately for the attacking midfielders in Dani Rodriguez or Unai Hernandez, they already have the likely to go out on loan Pablo Torre in front of them. And he showed in this friendly, just like Pau Prim, if you give him space and time, and you give him an opportunity to show what he can do on the ball, Pablo Torre has class. There was no question when he came from Racing Santander. But every concern or issue with him was in no way displayed today because he wasn't affected by anything in the game. Every concern or issue with him is about his defensive positioning. The feel for the press he might have, concerns about his ability to retain the ball under pressure, but none of that mattered against a team that didn't test him with any of those faults. Instead, he got to control the game and be the protagonist on the ball. Lewandowski, just like Ansu Fati, looked sharp and had a really good understanding of space, and it made a good showing for Pablo Torre underneath him. He's going on loan next season regardless, but those kind of showings give hope that the loan will go well in most places that Barca send him. Coolers would love to see him continue to improve, and obviously, things on the ball, not a concern, especially his set pieces. Xavi said it. He might be the best deliverer of set pieces in the entire team. That's everybody. That's Rafinha, that's Marcos Alonso. Regardless of who the specialist is, he might be the best of it. You saw him deliver the ball on the corner for Eric Garcia for the second goal. That is certainly one of his calling cards, and if he can retain the ball with the best of them, Pablo Torre does have a place at Barcelona in the future. And headline 5, questions for Julian Araujo. Not to be a bit negative here, I don't know how much he truly had to do, but he also didn't show you too much either. He plays the right back, he plays the left back when Hector Fort came on the field, and Hector Fort, very much like the U17 Euros, he still has a bit of work to do. He looked very, very raw. He's just 16, so all the tools are there for Hector Fort to turn into an actual professional and get a lot better. Julian Araujo still in his early 20s, but that €4 million price tag is even looking a bit inflated. When I want to defend him a little bit, I did see, as I said, I saw him over 100 times in MLS, and he is much, much better than he showed in a friendly. He has not played in a competitive match now for about 6 months. So I do want to cut Julian Araujo a little bit of slack. However, my worries about him, about the positional play, about releasing the ball quickly, the timing of his passing, those were concerns that I had coming in, and he did not get rid of any of those concerns that I have for him. He will do preseason with the first team. Who knows where he fits in after that, but I don't know. I'm a bit concerned about Julian Araujo, and this performance did raise a few alarm bells. But as I said, I would like to rather throw this out and put a lot more pressure on the preseason for him than this one, because he has not played at all in 6 months in competitive action, where Vissel Kobe and the rest of his Barcelona teammates at any level have been playing competitive football. So there it is, a friendly in the books to end the season. I guess the last official game of the season was already done, but you get the point. I had so much content for the last few days, so for any reason, if this is the one that the algorithm gave you and you didn't watch the Celta match review or any of the Femini podcasts or anything like that, go back and check it on the channel. Give me a subscribe here because I have a bunch planned for the summertime. A lot of content, of course, that I want to dig in and have a little bit of fun with. If you got any feedback for me this year, as this ends another year of match reviews, so it will be about a month and a half before I have the next one. So if you got any feedback on this for me, leave it down in the comments below. I like hearing from you. Sometimes I ignore you, but sometimes I listen to you. At the very least, I will read it. So as always, until next time, Forza Barça.